Hello, everybody, and welcome in live to another edition of Texas Longhorns Live. I'm your host, Matthew Miller. Can you do me a favor and please hit that like button and please subscribe down below? It really helps out what we're trying to build here. The brand we're trying to build really helps out just all across the Voice of College Football Network. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and being here. Again, if you want to follow me on X or Twitter or whatever you decide to call it, that is the handle right there. Also, guys, we have channel memberships available to you. Click any tier, any member. I really appreciate it. You get special emojis. You can request content, and I will make it if it is football, obviously. Even if it has to do with the University of Texas Health, you want to do that, shoot it in there. I'll make it. So I think that's pretty cool. And then also we have an Amazon link in the description. So please use that. It is Christmas season, guys. It is fast approaching. I can't believe I'm saying that. I think it is sacrilege personally to have any Christmas decorations up prior to Thanksgiving. That is my own personal preference, but there are people out there that absolutely love Christmas. I think they love it for the wrong reason. That's just my opinion. But again, use that when shopping. Does not change the shopping experience whatsoever, guys. Also, check out our Voice of College Football platform and on your favorite podcast platform, whether that be Spotify, whether that be Apple, whether that be Amazon. If you don't want to watch me, but you would like to listen to me, I know I can talk a little bit fast, but maybe you'd like to listen and not watch. Check it out there. Just type in the Voice of College Football and pick your flavor. SEC, Texas, Oklahoma, USC, Michigan, Indiana. We got it all for you. They're having a fantastic season. Now, this is the 28th edition. I've been doing the show longer than that. I think live, I'm probably in the 100 to 150 range. I'd like to grow it more. We're having issues with that. I'd still like to grow it more. Please do that, guys. Daniel Berry Sports. Hey, thank you for being here. I have not seen you, so please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. First up, I should say, recruiting update. So we are fast approaching National Signing Day. I believe that's December 4th. I believe that's the date. A couple of these guys are going to wait until National Signing Day to commit to the University of Texas or another school of their choosing. Let's jump into it. Justice Terry, we have talked about this guy. He came and visited for the Georgia game. He is from Georgia. He is the number 2 defensive lineman in the country. I believe Elijah Griffin is number 1. Texas tried to get in contact with him. There did not seem to be any reciprocity there, at least interest-wise. So I don't see him being involved with Texas. I'm surprised Justice Terry was involved with Texas, quite frankly. They jumped on him late, but guess what? His camp actually reached out to Texas. Now, could that be to drive the price up of his recruitment? Possibly. Could that be he ends up at Georgia, the Peach State where he's from? Possibly. Could that be a coincidence that he showed up for the Georgia game and he ends up at Georgia, even though it was a Texas visit? I think that's personally what it was, guys. I think it was just an extra visit for Georgia at the University of Texas. I could be wrong, and I'd love to be wrong. This guy is a stud. This is a guy that will play right away no matter what college he chooses. My opinion on that will not change no matter what college he chooses. So he's a great player. It's going to come down to Georgia, Texas, USC, or Auburn. He is a 5-star defensive lineman from the Peach State. A plug-and-play guy right away. I don't think he plays a lot, but I think he can play 15, 20% of your snaps and be very effective in that. I think he needs to be a little bit better in the run game. Pass rush, I think he's going to be pretty damn good at that right away. And I think there's some versatility there where you could shift him out to edge. Alfred Collins, we've seen that with him. He's not as good at it. I think Justice Terry can be better than Alfred Collins was at that, but we'll see with him. Right now, guys, I personally believe he ends up at Georgia. I think it helps Georgia that scholarship limits got upped. It helps out Texas too, but with a guy like this from Georgia, I think he ends up there. Next up, another guy from Georgia that I think I actually have a different opinion on, Joseph Mbachu. This guy's been infatuated with the University of Texas. We're actually playing the team that he was recently most committed to last, which was Florida. And he's been multiple visits at Texas. I believe he only has one official visit here, but multiple visits otherwise. I think he's going to be a hell of a player. A little bit more of a not as much seasoning right now as Justice Terry. I think you're going to have to coach him up, teach him up a little bit. He's got the body, though, already, 6'5", 275. It's going to be UGA, Texas, Auburn, or Tennessee. I cannot count Auburn right now. When we're talking about the tiers of NIL, Auburn is that number one tier. Texas is also in that number one tier. Georgia's in that number one tier. Ohio State's in that number one tier. I don't think Tennessee is, so they're on the outside looking in my opinion. And he seems, like I said, he seems infatuated with the University of Texas. I think he could play right away because we do lose a lot of interior players here, and you're going to see him slide into the interior. He's a really good player. I don't think he's going to be a star right away like I think Justice Terry could be. Joseph Mbachu will be a very good player and will be an NFL player if Texas gets him. I'm very confident saying that. I think has the frame for it, and I think he has the psyche for it as well. So Joseph Mbachu is one to watch. I actually think Texas is leading here. I'd be surprised at this point if he doesn't pick Texas. I'm thinking about 60% here for the Longhorns with Joseph Mbachu. Next up is a guy that I'm very interested in, Kevin Wynn, also from the Peach State. It's crazy to me how many guys from Georgia are at the defensive line position. This is another one. He is currently committed to Florida State. He's been through it all, guys. Like, if he ends up signing with Florida State, I won't be surprised. He's still committed, and they're 1-8. And there's a real chance they maybe only win one more game. So I think Kevin Wynn, there's a real possibility he does stay committed to Florida State. I think that's a real outcome we have to be wary of if we're Texas fans. Others in the running, UGA in the running as well. USC, Florida State commitment. So they're there as well. I think he either goes to Georgia or Florida State. I don't think he's going to come to Texas. He has yet to come on a visit with his parents to Texas. I don't see a kid coming from out of state without a visit from his parents. I just don't see that happening. If that happens, I will be surprised. We will see if it happens, though. I'm going to assume right now, I actually would put Florida State as the leader. Like, you've held on to him this long. I'm going to say he's the leader. I think Georgia's second. I think Texas is third. I think USC is far and away the fourth option here. Next up, another guy from Georgia. We are trying to infiltrate that wall Kirby Smart has around Georgia with these big human beings. But this guy's committed to LSU. It's going to come down to Texas or LSU. I think Bo Davis is very good with relationships. We have seen that with Texas. We saw that with Brandon Brown, who's now at LSU, was committed to Texas for a very long time, and then he was finally convinced to go to LSU after Bo Davis left. He continued recruiting him. I think Bo Davis is really liked by players. Do I think he's a great coach? No, I think he's a good coach who is beloved by his players, and I think that's going to be hard to pry Walter Mathis away. They also have decent NIL. I don't think Texas, honestly, would overpay for this guy, so I don't see him here. I think he stays committed to LSU. I think it'd be a good get for Texas. He's probably the most developmental player on here. I think Kevin Wynn, Joseph Mbachu, and Justice Terry are more ready-made, and Joseph Mbachu isn't that much of a ready-made player. Walter Mathis needs the most work to me. Next up is Chase Sims on the defensive line. He is from Texas, and again, guys, this comes down to, can Chase Sims get over being recruited over? Multiple times, Texas has chosen to recruit guys that were considered higher up on the recruiting board than Chase Sims. Chase Sims wants to come to the University of Texas. He made that clear very early on. Texas kind of pushed him aside and said, yeah, we'll recruit you. We're going to recruit you very lightly. We want to go after these guys more. And it's kind of bit him in the butt. And we saw Chase Sims go to A&M. To me, it's crazy to me at this point that he's even entertaining Texas, because being passed over like that as a competitor has to bother you. But he is. So they're still in the running. It's going to be very interesting. Remember, this is a legacy. His dad went to the University of Texas. I think they have a shot here. I really do. And if he chooses Texas, it's for the love of Texas, because Texas did not choose him. He chose Texas more than anything. So it'd be awesome to get a guy like that. It's always nice to have like 7 to 10 guys in your locker room that just love the University of Texas. And I think that'd be the case if they were able to flip Chase Sims here. Next up is Malcolm Simpson. It comes down to this guy's grades. He wants to be at Texas. Are the grades good enough? They're good enough to get Nebraska. Texas is a better school than Nebraska. If Texas is able to flip Malcolm Simpson, it's because his grades got better. He wants to be at the University of Texas. I think he's made that pretty clear. He wants to go on another visit here after the Georgia game. We'll see if we can get him back on campus. It's going to be paramount, also with the grades getting better. So we'll have to see. Javion Hilson, the guy that I've been expecting to commit to Texas for a very long time. A wrench has been thrown into this, and this wrench is by the way of the University of Texas A&M. I did not think they were a serious contender here. I thought it was Florida State, UCF, and Florida. I think it's Texas and Texas A&M now. From everything that everyone else has been talking about, I think he's going to end up, whoever wins that game November 30th, I believe is where he goes, because he's going to visit that weekend. And I think it's that close to where he's going to make his decision based off of that game. I really believe that. So if Texas wins that game, I think he's here at the University of Texas. If he doesn't, he'll go to Texas A&M. And my God, it's a big miss. He's a very good player. He's the second best edge in this class. He's from Cocoa, Florida. I really don't want him to go to A&M. It always hurts a little bit more when guys go from that we could have go to A&M or could have go to Oklahoma. Always hurts a lot more when that happens. We've been on the winning side of most of those recently with Ty Anthony Smith, Anthony Hill, and guys of that nature, and they've worked out tremendously. We need to continue that momentum with Javion Hilson, and this would give us, in my opinion, one of the 2 to 3 best defensive line classes, if not the best in the country. You would have Lance Jackson, Smith Orogbo, Javion Hilson, Josiah Sharma, Myron Charles. That is a fantastic haul. 5 guys all within, I believe, the 200s. Of the recruiting rankings on 247. So he's definitely a really good get to have him with Colin Simmons on the edge for at least 2 years. That is amazing if you can get it. And I really do believe it's going to come down to that. He visited Texas A&M for the LSU game. He said he liked the environment more at Texas A&M than he did at Texas. He didn't say by a lot, but he did say it was a little bit better. And that's why I really think, guys, November 30th, that game means even more because I believe whoever wins that game will land the commitment of Javion Hilson. I thought he was going to go to Texas for the longest time, but this is kind of like a couple of the other guys I'll talk about. When this gets pushed down the road and and people keep pointing out, well, this is the favorite, this is the favorite, this is the favorite, that favorite is no longer the favorite. If that was the favorite, they would have signed there. Matt Framo, we'll just jump to him real quick. I'm going to skip over someone. I'll come back to them. But Matt Framo, for example, he came to Texas in the summer. Notre Dame was the heavy favorite there. He pushed it back. That looks better and better for Texas now. The bad thing is now, I don't think we're going to get a visit from Matt Framo in season. Kentucky looks like the week. If he doesn't come there, he's not going to come to the University of Texas. I actually think USC is going to end up winning this. That's my opinion. I think USC is going to win this. He's from California. You know how they have that Polynesian pipeline out there with Palomalu, Maluga, and those guys from the past. I just think he ends up there. I know Johnny Nansen is trying to help us get the Polynesian pipeline, but I don't see that happening right now with Matt Framo. I think he's going to end up at USC. I just do. I think Notre Dame honestly lost their opportunity in the summer. I think that was their chance to make him commit and then keep his commitment. I just don't see him going back there. So I think it's going to be USC. Next up, Texas, and the reason why I think this even more, Texas put out a new offer. Kevin Wiley from the state of Florida, 3-star linebacker, 6'4", 225. Miami, Texas, Penn State seemed to be the biggest players here. Miami seemed to be the big favorite before Texas got involved. So I give them the nod here because they're another tier 1 NIL guy. And he's from Florida, and we were late on this. And honestly, guys, if we miss on him, I'm not going to be that angry about it. This guy, to me, is a project. 6'4", 225. He needs to put a little bit more weight on for me at that frame. He's going to have to gain 15, 20 pounds of muscle. He's definitely a project. I don't see him. He's a lot like Ty Anthony Smith here. I don't think he plays very much next year if he commits. I don't even think he plays very much the second year if he commits. So Kevin Wiley is a name to watch out for. We just sent out the offer, so we'll see what happens there. Riley Pettijohn. Big name, 5-star or 4-star from Texas, linebacker, 6'2", 215, Ohio State commit. We already have Elijah Bo Barnes, which will probably be the number 1 linebacker in the country when it's all said and done. I think Riley Pettijohn is going to end up being this 3rd or 4th best linebacker when it's all said and done. Really good player. He's committed to Ohio State. I just don't see this one going our ways. I just don't. I could be wrong here. I think he stays committed to Ohio State. It's going to be very interesting moving forward, but I do think he ends up staying with Ohio State. Next up, another guy committed somewhere else. Oregon commit Dorian Brew, 4-star, 6 foot, 200-pound corner out of Texas. He attended the UGA game. They are trying to get him on campus for another visit. It's as simple as this. If he wants to stay close to home, he ends up at Texas. If he doesn't, he goes to Oregon. He likes Oregon more. He's made that clear, guys. He's made that clear. He committed there. He chose a weekend recruiting visit to Oregon. He chose a midweek recruiting visit to Texas. He likes Oregon more. If this was all the same distance, I don't even think he'd be entertaining Texas. So Texas needs to play on that distance card. Say, hey, you can visit your mom. Your mom can come and watch games. Your family can come and watch games. And I think that's important to him. And I think that's important to a lot of players. And I think it's smart for Texas to emphasize that, especially with a rolling it's like a snowball effect, guys. Oregon right now has so much momentum. They're the number 1 team in the country. They have a lot of recruiting momentum. They have cool jerseys. They have a beautiful campus. They have state-of-the-art facilities. They have endless money with Phil Knight. Like, it's going to be hard to move this guy. I just don't see it happening. Another new guy, Grayson Littleton, decommitted from Clemson. Michigan and Texas seem to be the play here. I think Texas needs a cornerback commit. We have Caleb Chester. That is it. That is all we have here. 6 foot 180 from Florida. It's going to be interesting. Michigan is getting their NIL game up seriously. You would know that if you pay attention to the Michigan channel here. Those guys do a great job, so go check them out as well. Grayson Littleton is a great player, and I think we have a chance more than Dorian Brew. This next guy I'm talking about is the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, and a guy that I really want, Devin Sanchez, 5-star cornerback, Ohio State from Texas, #1 cornerback in the country, Ohio State commit. I think for Texas to have a 2022 similar recruiting class where you basically hit all your needs, they need to land one of Dorian Brew, Grayson Littleton, or Devin Sanchez. If I had to rank most likely to flip, I would go #1 Grayson Littleton, #2 Dorian Brew, #3 Devin Sanchez. I have heard little to nothing of constant communication from Texas with Devin Sanchez. Could it be happening behind closed doors? No one knows. They keep the lid tight. Possibly. Could this be another Terrence Brooks situation where it's no one knows about it, basically, except very few amount of people, and then he flips signing day? Maybe. I just don't see it happening. It'd be a hell of a get, and I'd love to have him in this class. Like, if you're telling me I could have one of every position, yeah, I love Justice Terry. I love Devin Sanchez. I love this next guy we're going to talk about, Michael Fasusi. Texas has been in more constant communication with Michael Fasusi. Steve Sarkisian made a visit during the bye week to Michael Fasusi via the helicopter. If he is doing that, there is a chance Michael Fasusi flips. Guys, this would be a hell of a flip. I said we needed one more legit offensive lineman in this class, and this is the guy. This is one of the, I believe he's 1 or 2 best offensive linemen in the country rankings-wise. And you take them away from Oklahoma after a shitty season for them, that would be the icing on top of that cake. I would love to get Michael Fasusi. To me, guys, this is a plug-and-play situation. I think Cameron Williams, with the way he's playing right now, is going to come back to Texas. He will be your right tackle. I think the way DJ Campbell is playing, he will come back to Texas. Unless they totally flip it around and turn it around later in the season, I think they're both back. If you can get Michael Fasusi, he slides right in that left tackle situation. You literally, at that point, will only have to find a center and left guard with Arch Manning's first year coming up. That would be a phenomenal situation. I would love to have it. I think he can replicate what Kelvin Banks did his freshman year. I really believe it. He's that damn good. Lamont Rogers, Chris Gilbert did visit, so that tells you right there. Steve Sarkisian believes he has a better chance with Michael Fasusi than he does Lamont Rogers, who is currently committed to Missouri. I just don't see it here. I think Michael Fasusi is now back to a coin flip situation. I think he could come to the University of Texas. Lamont Rogers is about a 10 to 15% chance. Maybe if they for sure lose out on Michael Fasusi, they put a lot more money and effort into Lamont Rogers, but I don't see that happening. But we'll see. Michael Terry still seems like he's going to wait till the end of November, maybe just wait until the signing day in December. 6'3", 217-pound, #1 athlete in the country out of San Antonio. Must get. To me, guys, if I'm saying to make this a 2022 type class, you get Michael Terry, you get Michael Fasusi, you get Joseph Mbachu, and you flip one of these cornerbacks, Grayson Littleton, Dorian Brew, or Devin Sanchez. If you do that and then also get Javion Hilson, this is just as good as that 2022 class and probably a top 3 class in the country and a class that hits all your needs, which is most important. And another guy they are still trying at, and they must love this guy, and this guy got his 5th star finally, Dallas Wilson out of Florida, committed to Oregon. He is up to the 3rd or the 4th best wide receiver in the country now, guys. He shot up. He used to be like 9th or 10th. He's up to number 4 in the country, according to 247. And Texas is trying hard. They are trying to get him on campus for a Kentucky visit. Again, if that does not happen, he will not come to the University of Texas. He will not be here. But I think there's a real shot here, guys, and he fills that void of speedster. We need that speedster in this class. We do not have it. Jamie French is not a speedster. Khalil Locke is not a speedster. If you get a Dallas Wilson, that would make a perfect balanced wide receiver trio between the 3. You have a Khalil Locke who's more a go up and get it guy, a Jamie French who's more well-balanced, good route runner, good hands, and that nature, and Dallas Wilson who's a speedster. I think it'd be a great recruiting class if you got him, and I think there's a chance. Miami, Florida, and Florida State are all trying here as well. So it's going to be interesting what Dallas Wilson decides to do. He may just be playing the recruiting game here and just saying, yeah, I'm interested, but never visit. To me, you're not interested until you visit. So we'll see what happens with Dallas Wilson. But that does it for the recruiting segment of the show. Guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. If I had more people, had more comments, we could talk about more subjects that you want to talk about, more players that you want to talk about. Until then, I'm just going to have to create my own show of what I believe you guys are interested in. I need to know your comments, your feedback, what you would be interested in the future of the videos as well. So please do that. And again, guys, like and subscribe. Use that Amazon link in the description. Christmas time's coming up. Does not change the buying experience whatsoever. Also, join the channel via memberships. Request videos. I will make them no matter what. If it's about football or Texas, I'll make them. You'll get special emojis, and you can request special emojis for me to make, or for us to make them for you for whatever you want them to be, as long as they're somewhat appropriate, I guess. Also, guys, if you don't want to watch but you want to listen, go on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, type in the Voice of College Football and listen there. If you don't want to watch, if you're at work and you can't watch and you just want to listen, do that. This is the 28th edition, and look at that. Got a Florida preview. We're on the Florida channel, so we're going to discuss Florida, guys. Let's talk about Florida here, guys. So Florida comes in at 4-4, 2-3 in the SEC. Let's talk about those Gators coming off, honestly, a pretty good game versus Georgia, a game in which if DJ Lagaway does not get hurt, I think Florida has a real shot to win that game. Do they? I'm not going to go out on the limb and say Florida beats Georgia, but do I think it comes down to a final possession to go tie or win the football game? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I definitely believe that. And I'm hoping DJ Lagaway plays this game, because if he doesn't, guys, our defense isn't going to get much of a test coming out of the bye. And I think we need as many tests as we can get as a football team in general at this point in the season. Florida on the season, 27.3 points per game. That is 63rd in the country. 5.6 yards per play, 61st in the country. Third down conversion rate, 34.94%. That is 102nd in the country. They do not keep drives alive. Rush yards per attempt, 4.1, 77th in the country. Yards per pass, 7.9, 31st in the country. And a sack percentage of 6% exactly. That is 66th in the country. Defensively, 27.4 points per game, 78th in the country. 5.5 yards per play, 66th in the country. 4.2 yards per play or rush, 62nd in the country, and 7.8 yards per pass, 90th in the country, and a 6.76% sack percentage, so 41st in the country. So they are pretty good at getting after the quarterback. And their third down percentage allowed is 39.36%. That is 67th in the country. Overall, other than getting after the quarterback, they really don't do anything great. They're basically average across the board and everything else, and below average if you look on a Power 4 level. So not great, honestly. Offense for Texas, 37.6 points per game, 12th in the country. 6.3 yards per play, 20th in the country. 4.5 yards per rush, 59th in the country. 8.5 yards per pass, that is 16th in the country. A conversion rate of 45.63%, that is 18th in the country on third down. And a QB sack percentage of 5.76%, that is 60th in the country. And they have fallen a bit, guys. They used to be in the top 10. They're at 60 now. Defensive-wise, they are still phenomenal, guys. Number one in the country, 11.5 points per game. 3.7 yards per play, number one in the country. 3 yards per rush, that ranks highly in the country. 4.6 yards per pass, number one in the country still. And 7.06% sack rate, that is 36th in the country. So overall, Texas defense is holding up their end of the bargain. Now let's get to player specifics. DJ Lagaway is questionable in this game. I don't know how he plays in this game. This guy was carted off the field versus Georgia. He was on crutches. He was grasping at his hamstring. I don't know. Like, to me, that's a serious either tear or strain, which is the same thing. I don't know. I just don't see how it happens. He's on the season, 60.9% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 114 yards rushing, 3.1 yards per carry. He's a phenomenal prospect. He's not a phenomenal player right now. It definitely shows at certain points that bomb he threw versus Georgia was a hell of a pass, and he definitely would give Texas problems because of his mobility. Definitely the most mobile quarterback we would have played up until this point if he does play. If he doesn't play, it hurts because Graham Mertz is also out as well. Got injured that Tennessee game. He is out for the year. Leaves Aiden Warner, who's a walk-on. He's only completing 36% of his passes for 96 yards on the season and 1 interception. Florida is getting 21.5 points, and to me, that tells you Aiden Warner is going to play in this football game. If DJ Lagaway was playing, I think this is 15.5 to 17.5 point spread, somewhere between there. If Aiden Warner plays, Texas should cover that spread. Aiden Warner's not any good. I don't see how they're going to score the ball. The only way is if they create turnovers on our side of the ball with our offense, because our offense does struggle with that. And I've said this, guys, for Texas to be taken seriously as a national championship contender, Texas is going to have to meet averaged 31 points a game for these last 4 games. We talked about that. In conference games, national champions, the worst one was 2016 Alabama, and they were at like 32 to 33 points a game. Texas at 27. They're almost a touchdown behind that. So that's unacceptable. They're going to have to get better if that is what our sights are set on, which I do believe they are because the talent on this team says they should be. We're going to have at least 3 first-round picks. So I just don't see why we wouldn't set our sights on that. Florida, Montrell Johnson, 373 yards, 5.3 average, 4 touchdowns. I think this will be the best running back we face all year. I like Trevor Etienne, but I thought Montrell Johnson was a better running back when they're in the same backfield. That's my opinion on that. My opinion has not changed. I said that preseason. I thought Montrell Johnson was the overall better back. Trevor Etienne does run behind a better offensive line, obviously, but I think if you switch positions, Montrell Johnson's a better player. So we'll see. I think he's the best running back we face. And honestly, I think if DJ Lagway were to play, that would be the best quarterback running back combination we played so far. No offense to Georgia, but I just don't think Carson Beck's that good. He turns the ball over way too much. I don't think he's as dynamic as a passer, and he's definitely not as dynamic on the ground with his legs. And I think Montrell Johnson is better than Trevor Etienne. They also go 3 deep here. Jaden Ball has 323 yards on the year, 4.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. He's more of a bowling ball back there, not as elusive. Jacoby Jackson as well, 227 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. He's the most elusive, honestly. This team has a lot of talent. They really do. The wide receiver position, when I looked at them preseason, was really good. I like these guys. Elijah Badger, Chimere Adike from Wisconsin, the Wisconsin transfer. Elijah Badger, remember, is from Arizona State. Eugene Wilson, I don't know if he's going to play in this game. I don't remember if he played in the Georgia game. I know he's missed a couple games on the year. He's their best overall wide receiver, so it's going to be interesting if he does play. But that's a really good trio, guys. Elijah Badger, Chimere Adike, and Eugene Wilson. Trey Wilson, because he is the third, are very good players. Elijah Badger, 2 touchdowns, 560 yards. DK, 428 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Eugene Wilson has 200-something yards on the year, missing 2 games. So he's a really good player, guys. These are really good players. Like, I think all these guys play a lot of time for Texas. And Texas has a very good wide receiver room. So they're going to be able to challenge Texas. They really are if they have DJ Lagway. That's the thing. It really just comes down to that. On defense, safety, Trick Wheezy, Bridges, 42 tackles is their leading tackler, but they spread it around, guys. They have 6 guys with 30 tackles on that defense. That is an insane number. If you look at most defenses, you usually at this point in the season probably have 3 or 4. To have 6 is crazy. That means there's no one key guy you need to know about. Honestly, they spread them out, and it's going to be interesting. Now, the defensive line there is. Tyreek Sapp has 3 sacks, and George Gumps has 3 sacks. Or sorry, Tyreek Gump has 3.5 sacks. George Gumps has 3. So those are 2 guys off the edges you need to watch out for Texas. And I think this Florida team has gotten consistently better week in and week out. It kind of sucks for Billy Napier because I do believe, I talked about this on the SEC channel, I think if they go 4-8, he's going to get fired. And it kind of sucks because I think they're heading the right direction. I think DJ Lagway, honestly, would get better under Billy Napier. I think he does a pretty damn good job with quarterbacks. You saw that with Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz wasn't great at Wisconsin. He became a very good player at Florida. He's going to be a drafted player. Like, he's going to get drafted in the NFL as probably a 4th or 5th round pick. He'll probably be a backup in the NFL for 10 to 12 years. And that is mostly because of Billy Napier. That guy at Wisconsin, Graham Mertz, was gone. He was a ship without a captain, and Billy Napier changed that. And I'm thinking if DJ Lagway is able to play the rest of the season, they might be able to upset some teams. Hopefully not Texas if he does play in this game, and he might be able to save his job. But unless that happens, I don't see Billy Napier saving his job, which sucks for him. He seems like a good guy. I think he's starting to head in the right direction. It's just a little bit too little too late. Another thing I mentioned on the SEC channel, Florida hasn't had 3 losing seasons in a row, which most likely is going to happen this year since 1946, 1947, and 1948, I believe. It was in the 40s. It was a very long time ago. It was World War II era. So I feel bad for Billy Napier. I do think Texas can exploit this defense, especially, like, guys, what I think is going to happen here if DJ Lagway doesn't play, Florida's going to run out of gas on defense. I think they've been playing better, but they're not a great defense, and they're not deep on that side of the ball either, to where I do believe they're just going to Texas is going to be able to stop Florida from converting 3rd downs, get them off the field quickly. That defense is going to be constantly on the field. And then also Aiden Warner in that situation is probably going to turn the ball over, trying to do too much to keep him in the game. I think it snowballs here if Aiden Warner is the quarterback. I think Texas covers the spread coming off a bye and Florida coming off the Georgia game with the DJ Lagway injury. Again, this is if DJ Lagway doesn't play. I'll give my prediction for both. So if Aiden Warner is the starting quarterback, I believe Florida does not cover in this game. I think Texas wins this game 41-10. I think Texas easily covers. I think if DJ Lagway plays this game, I think it's 37-17 Texas, and I think Florida does cover. Both of those would go over, so I'm taking the over here no matter what. I just think it's just too much to ask for a walk-on to come in his first road start, coming off of a Georgia game where he felt all that pressure, the team as a whole felt all that pressure, and you get all this excitement for that game. Then you get your quarterback injured. Then you lose that game to go play Texas. I just don't see how this turns out well for Florida. And to me, guys, this is the last week, I believe, that Texas can prove that they're a national championship team, because you're coming off a bye week. It's late in the season. You need to prove to me that you can protect Quinn. And Quinn, you can't use Russ as an issue anymore. You've had enough time to recover. If you were injured, that was enough time. So Quinn, you need to play better. Offensive line, you need to play better. Texas, you need to establish the running game early and stick to the running game early, and then use that to play action down the field in this game. That is what I need to see. Defense, just do what you've been doing. Defense has been national championship worthy. Offense hasn't. That's what I need to see from this offense, and I do think we see that. So those are my two predictions for what I believe will happen if Aiden Werner is the starter, and I believe DJ Lagway is the starter. I do think this Florida team is on the same caliber as Vandy. I really believe that. They just have a harder schedule and probably not as good of a coaching staff either. And that's with DJ Lagway. Again, I'm not saying that with Aiden Werner. So again, guys, that is my prediction, and that does it for the 28th edition of Texas Longhorns here live. I really appreciate you guys being here. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. I will be here Saturday after the game. I'm here Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, no matter rain or shine. I'm like the U.S. Postal Service that way, so please keep it here. Please keep it posted here. Yeah, that was a pun, and I meant to do that. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe, and I will be here after the game breaking it down, and next Monday breaking this game down and talking about our next week's game. So hook 'em, guys. It is 7:33 p.m. in Oklahoma. Still sucks, guys.